You know those people who genuinely love being alone? Not lonely, not sad, just alone. While everyone else is making weekend plans, they're quietly relieved they have nothing scheduled. And while you might think they're missing out, there's a good chance they figured out something most of us are still chasing. The less you need other people to feel complete, the more complete you actually become. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you were truly alone? Not just physically alone while scrolling through other people's lives. I mean genuinely, completely alone with your own thoughts. No music, no podcast, no background noise, just you. For some people, that sounds like torture. For others, that's exactly where they feel most at home. There's this assumption that if someone prefers solitude, something must be wrong. Maybe they're depressed, maybe they're antisocial, maybe they just can't connect with people. But here's what's actually happening. People who love being alone aren't running away from connection. They're just wired differently. Think about it like this. Some people plug into other people to feel energized. That's extroverts. They feed off social energy. But people who love being alone, they're more like solar panels. They need quiet, stillness, space to absorb what they need. Being around others, even in pleasant situations, blocks that process. And here's where it gets interesting. Solitude isn't the same as loneliness. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Loneliness is painful. It's the feeling that you're disconnected, that something's missing, that you need connection but don't have it. It's involuntary. Solitude, on the other hand, is a choice. It's intentional. It's the active decision to be alone because that's where you feel most aligned with yourself. Researchers have studied this difference extensively. Loneliness correlates with depression, anxiety, and all kinds of negative mental health outcomes. But solitude is linked to creativity, self-awareness, and emotional regulation. People who choose to be alone aren't suffering, they're thriving. There's a psychologist named Anthony Storr who wrote about this. He argued that Western culture has this obsession with relationships as the ultimate source of happiness. If you're not partnered up, if you're not surrounded by friends, something must be off. But Storr said that's backwards. Some of the most fulfilled, creative, emotionally healthy people in history were solitary. They didn't need constant companionship to feel whole because they had something even more valuable, a deep relationship with themselves. And that's what people who love being alone have cultivated. Self-sufficiency. Not in a cold, detached way, in a grounded, centered way. They're not waiting for someone else to make them feel okay. They already feel okay, alone. Now, here's what makes this even more compelling. People who love solitude often have this quiet confidence about them. They're not desperate for validation. They're not performing for an audience. They're just existing. And that makes other people uncomfortable sometimes. Because when you're comfortable being alone, you stop doing things out of obligation. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You stop showing up to events you don't want to attend just because you're afraid of being judged. And that can come across as distant or aloof. But really, it's just boundaries. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control. It means your sense of stability comes from within, not from external approval. People who love being alone have a strong internal locus. They don't need other people to tell them they're doing okay. They already know. And this is where society gets it wrong. We're taught that connection is everything, that being alone is something to avoid. But research shows that people who are comfortable with solitude actually form deeper, more meaningful relationships when they do connect. Because they're not needy, they're not clinging, they're choosing to be there, not because they have to, but because they want to. There's this concept in psychology called secure attachment. It's usually talked about in the context of relationships, but people who love being alone often exhibit something similar: secure attachment to themselves. They trust themselves. They know their own company is enough. And when you have that kind of self-trust, relationships become an addition to your life, not the foundation. Here's something else that's fascinating. People who love being alone are often deeply introspective. They think a lot. They process things internally. And because they spend so much time with their own thoughts, they develop this ability to self-reflect in ways that others don't. Most people avoid being alone because when they're alone, they have to face themselves. All the things they've been distracting themselves from. All the uncomfortable truths, all the unresolved feelings. But people who love solitude, they've already done that work. They've sat with the discomfort. They've asked the hard questions. And they've come out the other side with clarity. Now, let's talk about creativity. There's a reason so many artists, writers, and thinkers throughout history were solitary. Creativity requires space. It requires stillness. It requires the ability to sit with uncertainty and let ideas form without interruption. People who love being alone aren't just comfortable with silence. They need it. Because silence is where insight happens, where patterns emerge, where you can hear yourself think. And here's the paradox. The more comfortable you are being alone, the better you are at connecting with others. Because you're not using people to fill a void. You're engaging with them from a place of fullness. You're not afraid of silence. You're not afraid of depth. You're not afraid of being real. People who love solitude are often the ones who have the most meaningful conversations. And because they're not desperate for approval, they can be honest, vulnerable, present. But here's what people get wrong. Loving solitude doesn't mean hating people. It doesn't mean being a hermit. It just means recognizing that your energy is finite and choosing to protect it. It means understanding that you don't need to be on all the time. That rest isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, social. So here's what I want you to think about. What if the people who love being alone aren't broken? What if they're not antisocial or damaged or afraid? What if they've just figured out that the relationship they have with themselves is the most important one they'll ever have? Because at the end of the day, you're the only person you're guaranteed to spend your entire life with. And if you can't be comfortable in your own company, you'll always be looking for someone else to fill that gap. But people who love being alone, they don't have a gap. They have a foundation. They're not waiting for someone to complete them. They're already whole. And maybe that's not loneliness. Maybe that's freedom. If this resonated with you, feel free to subscribe. I'll be exploring more of these quiet truths about psychology and the human experience. Thanks for watching. And remember, filling the void in yourself starts with building a strong relationship with yourself first. Prioritize your well-being, and the rest will fall into place. As always, be great, my loves.